Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and Suomi, mainittu Torilla Tavataan as finally QB is featuring a Finnish tank on the channel after all of these years. Today I'm playing the BT-42 Jatkosota, and this is a collaboration with Girls and Panzer, and as you can see it's basically like a little baby KV-2 that's on a captured BT-7. So this vehicle was actually real, even though it doesn't look like it was. It was basically a combination of captured BT-7 tanks with a monstrous turret that added a huge amount of weight to the tank and made it pretty much awful by putting pressure on the engine and the suspension. And it had a 4.5-inch British gun, which is 114 millimeters. So it's going into the game inside the German tech tree, which would make sense considering that Finland was with Germany during World War II. And it's kind of fabulous at tier 5, honestly. It's a lot of fun, this tank, although it does have some horrendous weaknesses, which, as you can see with my build, I've tried to mitigate. So by far the biggest weakness of this tank is the accuracy, which is a horrible 0.55. It truly is a derp gun, and it's combined with god-awful turret traverse. The turret traverse on this vehicle makes like a German heavy tank like the Mausel, the E100, look really good. It's only got 14 degrees a second of turret traverse. You see how slowly it turns? Now, I've done pretty much everything that I can to try and improve these two horrible aspects of this tank. I've improved the turret traverse, as you can see, with a bounty rotation device, which will improve my turret traverse by 15%. And then I've gone as far as to drop my med kit on this vehicle and use fuel instead. And what a lot of people don't realize is that the fuel not only increases your engine power by 10%, it also improves your turret traverse speed by 10% as well. And so by taking the rotation device, by taking the fuel, it's buffing that turret traverse by 25%, which makes it a lot more useful. Now, you've even got other crew skills in the game now on your gunner that you could take on this tank if you really wanted to be able to get an extra kind of like 2.5%. And that would finally make a vehicle like this actually able to kind of re-engage. You have problems with the bloom. You could use vert stabs on this tank, I believe, but I'm using the rotation device just to be able to buff that turret traverse, and that will also improve the bloom as well. And I decided to improve the accuracy on this thing just to be able to make those shots work. And to go as far also as using a directive to further improve the accuracy to allow this thing to occasionally snipe. But when your shell velocity is a horrendous 357, do you see how the reticle bounces up and down because the game can't figure out if you're aiming at kind of like 300 meters or aiming at the target there? And I guess the game thought I was aiming way, way, way further. So this vehicle reminds me so much of what held my experience record for 10 years, the VK2801. I just featured that video on the YouTube channel last month, so go and check out Was World of Tanks in 2012 Better if you want to see what was my experience record for 10 years. And see exactly what happens when tier 5 light tanks go after tier 10 tanks in World of Tanks, right? But this vehicle, I love the collaboration with Girls and Panzer. Originally, I thought the voice acting was really awful, and then I guess it kind of grew on me just because it's so ridiculous and it's different. And I don't know, man. After playing this game for like 14 years nearly, it will be 14 years this October. That's terrifying. I just think it's a little bit of fun, and I think the subtitles as well make it fun because you can actually see what they're saying if you don't speak Japanese, if you're not fluent in Japanese. So let's talk a little bit more about the BT-42. So this vehicle, there were 18 of them made, and there's still one remaining, which you can actually find at the Torilla Tank Museum in Finland. So this vehicle, it was first used in 1943 in a severe river engagement against some pillboxes, and it was found that it was okay against softly armored targets but absolutely useless against heavily armored tank engagements. And so accordingly what the Finns decided to do was to copy a German heat round, of which you see me spamming a lot of inside World of Tanks. The issue is that while they copied this gun, the heat round from the Germans, that because of the rotation of the shell and the differences in the velocities, they just weren't effective. Unlike in World of Tanks, where as we can see, we're doing very well. Funnily enough, we're fighting against a T-34-85 here, and when the Soviet Union went on, I believe it was the Winter Offensive against Finland, they had an engagement of BT-42s. I think there were 9 of them. 8 of them were lost in over the course of that engagement. One of them got to fight a T-34, and it apparently hit it, am I reading this correctly, 18 times. 18 times, and failed to even immobilize the T-34 and was subsequently destroyed. One of them was destroyed in the engagement, and apparently the other 7 that were lost out of the 9 additional losses, I should say, were because of malfunctions with the vehicle, probably because of the stress that having this huge turret put on the BT-7 hull, this captured BT-7 hull. So there's still one of them left in the museum, so if any of you do have a chance to go to, I believe, in southern Finland, definitely would be a fun one to go and check out. It makes me want to go to southern Finland myself. So eventually, these vehicles were just replaced by proper German tanks, really. Sorry, Finland, they were replaced by proper German tanks. So Panzer IVs and Stug 3s replaced to try and allow Finland to hold off the invasion of the Soviet Union, to try and take the pressure off Germany, I guess. I can imagine there were probably some annoyances with Germany having to supply some of those vehicles up there, and how the BT-42s, these captured tanks, just weren't effective. Just a ridiculous design. I think it's really cool the way that it's gone into World of Tanks, and the idea that this vehicle isn't just one of those kind of make-believe tanks. Even though it does look like it should be a make-believe tank, right? And I think it fits perfectly for the Girls and Panzer narrative within that regard. Funnily enough, eventually captured T-34s were used by the Finns, in addition to those Panzer IVs and those Stugs, upon these vehicles just being absolutely useless, right? But in World of Tanks, it's anything but useless. If you set the vehicle up like this, get yourself a rotation device, maximize that accuracy. This might also be a really good candidate, I've just realized, for the new aiming experimental equipment, because its aim time, it's not bad at 2.7, but it's definitely not great. Still probably a better candidate, I think, for just a bounty aiming device, just so you can be able to get that raw accuracy improvement, because the aim time isn't too bad on this tank. And when you add all of this together and you fire some of these, I guess, Finnish copies of German heat rounds, but they actually work inside World of Tanks, then this vehicle can be oh so much fun. It is a real cool vehicle and does truly demonstrate some, it's a bit of a Finnish powerhouse at tier 5. Alright, so far this game, we've managed to cripple some T-34-85s. We didn't have to hit them 18 times, and we did actually incapacitate them, let alone immobilize them. Unlike what that poor ill-fated Finnish crew had to put up with using one of these BT-42s. That would have been in 1944 during that Soviet offensive. And this vehicle, when it works, it works. It's this fun little chibi tank, right? Very, very, very anime. Very kawaii. Oh god, did I really say that? Good lord, you can see that Tanya's a terrible influence on me. But World of Tanks wise, good influence in this battle, picking up our 6th kill and securing a top gun against the enemy team. Is that what my artillery trying to... Well, I don't even understand what that guerrilla was trying to aim at, but good try, dude. The Lefe's coming after us still. We're trying to evade shells like we were earlier on, and while I was talking about the BT-42, I was trying my hardest to be able to bait the Lefe. Luckily for me, it looks like the Lefe only managed to scratch us for 75 hit points, and oh my word! Well, I got lucky that guy didn't high roll, and I also made very good use of that turret traverse there to pick up our 7th kill of the game. Now hunting a Radley Walters medal. Where's it going to be? I guess one of the only true downsides of this tank is it's really not very fast. It's limited at 52. With Engineer, you will get up to about like 53 in this tank, but it's still oh so slow. Would I recommend using an experimental turbo on this vehicle? I like this build. I like the accuracy build. I like the aim time I'm getting from the vents. I like the accuracy I'm getting from the aiming device. And I definitely recommend the rotation device on this vehicle. I think the rotation device is better than vert stabs on this tank. I would rather have that 15% turret reverse speed than to have the additional 5 to 10% gun handling on this tank, because otherwise, with those engagements like you just saw, I would have been absolutely dead against that Škoda T25, and probably dead earlier on in this battle as well if I didn't have the turret reverse to be able to re-engage my opponent as I nearly flipped myself. And yet, with a turret like this, with so much weight on this horrible profile, which was apparently one of the things that the crews absolutely hated about these vehicles, yeah, I think it'd be probably quite easy to roll one of these vehicles as well. You'd probably look quite stupid if you did as well. Although we're definitely not looking stupid here on the battlefield in our Girls and Panzer tank. So all in all, the BT-42 Jatkosota. This is an absolute fun vehicle in World of Tanks. It comes with a really cool crew as well. I think the voice acting and the way that they play off between each other is really fun. And with the Girls and Panzer a subtitle mod, which you can find on the official Wargaming mod portal, yeah, I think it's a real fun one in the game. And the result, truly a Torilla Tavataan moment here. An ace tanker for the BT-42 for 1,955 experience. Ladies and gents, tier 5 light tanks aren't meant to do 2,800 damage and pick up 7 kills as well. These heat rounds, unlike the copied ones of from the Germans, truly do work in World of Tanks, as we pick up an Orlix medal for destroying 2 vehicles that were 1 tier higher than the vehicle, the high caliber for that 2,800 damage, a top gun for the 7 kills, a patrol duty for spotting a load of vehicles that were destroyed by our allies, and also a scout medal for spotting 10 out of 15 of the enemy team. And as this is a premium tank, even if you do fire a lot of gold rounds here, you can still make 83,000 credits profit. So all in all, definitely one of the most fun tanks you can play at tier 5, and also arguably one of the more competitive tanks you can play from tier 5 light tanks. So if you're a Girls and Panzer fan, or alternatively you just want to have something that's Finnish and a little bit of fun in the game, then you can continue your wars on the battlefield with the Jatkosota. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this monster round of World of Tanks. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below if there are any one-off special tanks for other nations that you should think go into the game and why. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.